General Marcus Thompson had served in the military for 32 years. He had seen wars, commanded thousands of soldiers, and earned respect from every rank beneath him. At 55, his gray hair and weathered face told stories of countless battles and difficult decisions. But nothing had prepared him for what he would discover on that cold Tuesday evening in November. Private James Mitchell was 23 years old and had been under General Thompson's command for 8 months. The young soldier was known for his dedication, punctuality, and quiet nature. He never caused trouble, always followed orders, and completed every task with precision. However, lately, General Thompson noticed something different about Private Mitchell. The young soldier had started looking tired during morning drills. His uniform, usually spotless, sometimes had wrinkles. During lunch breaks, while other soldiers laughed and shared stories, Private Mitchell would sit alone, eating quickly before disappearing somewhere. General Thompson had initially thought it was just the stress of military life, but his concern grew when he noticed Mitchell leaving the base immediately after duty hours ended. Most soldiers would stay back to chat with friends, play cards, or relax in the common areas. Some would head to the nearby town for dinner or entertainment. But Private Mitchell would grab his backpack and walk straight to the main gate the moment his shift ended. General Thompson watched this pattern continue for 3 weeks. On this particular evening, General Thompson made a decision that would change his perspective forever. Instead of heading to his office to complete paperwork, he quietly followed Private Mitchell. The general maintained a safe distance, curious about where his dedicated soldier went every single day after duty. Private Mitchell walked through the base gates and continued down the main road. He didn't take the bus that most soldiers used to get to town. Instead, he walked for nearly 20 minutes until he reached a rundown neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. The houses here were small, some with broken windows and peeling paint. General Thompson had never been to this part of town before. The young soldier stopped in front of a tiny house with a rusted fence and a small garden that looked like someone had tried to maintain it despite having very little. Private Mitchell took out a key and opened the front door. General Thompson positioned himself behind a large tree across the street, wondering what he would discover about his soldier's secret life. Through the window, General Thompson could see Private Mitchell moving around inside the house. The general expected to see the soldier relaxing, maybe watching television or preparing dinner for himself. But what he observed was completely unexpected. Private Mitchell was not alone in the house, and he was not resting. The general watched as Private Mitchell immediately went to what appeared to be the kitchen area. Even from his hiding spot, General Thompson could see the soldier's movements were quick and purposeful, like he was following a routine he had performed many times before. There was an urgency in his actions that made General Thompson lean forward, trying to get a better view of what was happening inside. The small house seemed to contain more people than it should reasonably hold. General Thompson could see shadows moving behind the curtains, and occasionally a small face would appear at the window before quickly disappearing. The general realized that Private Mitchell was not living alone, and whatever was happening inside that house required his immediate attention every single day after work. As the evening grew darker, General Thompson remained hidden behind the tree, torn between respecting his soldier's privacy and his growing concern for the young man's well-being. The dedication that Private Mitchell showed at the base was clearly matched by some serious responsibility he had taken on in his personal life. General Thompson had always prided himself on knowing his soldiers well, but he realized he knew nothing about Private Mitchell's background or family situation. The young man had never mentioned anything personal during their brief interactions, and his military records only contained basic information required for service. Standing in the cold evening air, General Thompson made a decision to continue watching, hoping to understand what was demanding so much of his soldiers' time and energy. Whatever Private Mitchell was dealing with in that small house, it was clearly affecting his performance and well-being, even though the young man continued to fulfill all his military duties without complaint. General Thompson moved closer to get a better view of the house. He found a position behind a parked car that gave him a clearer sight line through the front window. What he saw made him hold his breath in amazement. Private Mitchell was in the kitchen, but he was not cooking for himself. Instead, he was preparing multiple plates of food with the efficiency of someone who had done this countless times. The general watched as the young soldier divided what appeared to be a simple meal of rice, beans, and some vegetables into several small portions. Then, one by one, children began appearing in the kitchen. General Thompson counted them carefully. There were 5 children ranging from what looked like 6 years old to maybe 14. They were all thin, wearing clothes that were clean but clearly old and worn. The children moved around Private Mitchell with obvious familiarity and affection. The youngest child, a little girl with pigtails, wrapped her arms around Private Mitchell's legs while he cooked. A boy who appeared to be around 10 years old was setting plates on a small table that barely fit in the tiny kitchen. The older children were helping organize the meal, and General Thompson could see they all had specific roles in this daily routine. But these were not Private Mitchell's children. The general was certain of that. The soldier was too young, and there was something about the way he interacted with them that suggested a different relationship. He spoke to each child with care and attention, checking on homework, asking about their day, and making sure each one received equal portions of food. As General Thompson continued watching, an elderly woman appeared from another room. She moved slowly, using a walker to support herself. Private Mitchell immediately went to help her, guiding her to a chair at the table and ensuring she was comfortable before returning to serve the food. The general realized he was witnessing something extraordinary. This young soldier, who earned a modest military salary, was somehow supporting an entire household of people who were clearly not his biological family. The care and organization required to manage this situation every single day after work was staggering. Private Mitchell sat down with the group, but General Thompson noticed the soldier had given himself the smallest portion of food. The children chattered excitedly about their school days while the elderly woman smiled and listened. Despite their obvious poverty, there was warmth and love in that small kitchen that was unmistakable. After dinner, Private Mitchell did not rest. He immediately began helping the children with their homework. General Thompson watched as the soldier patiently worked with each child individually, helping with math problems, reading assignments, and projects. The oldest boy was struggling with what appeared to be algebra, and Private Mitchell spent nearly an hour explaining the concepts in different ways until the boy understood. The little girl brought Private Mitchell a picture she had drawn at school. Even from his hiding spot, General Thompson could see the soldier's face light up as he examined the artwork and praised her effort. He carefully hung the drawing on the refrigerator alongside many other children's drawings and school papers. As the evening progressed, General Thompson realized that Private Mitchell was essentially serving as a father figure to these children. He was checking that they brushed their teeth, helping them prepare clothes for school the next day, and making sure each child felt heard and cared for. The elderly woman, who the general assumed was their grandmother, clearly relied on the young soldier for physical assistance and support. Around 9 o'clock, Private Mitchell began the process of getting the younger children ready for bed. General Thompson watched as the soldier read stories, tucked them in, and made sure they had everything they needed for the night. The older children stayed up a bit longer, continuing homework and quietly talking with Private Mitchell about their concerns and plans. General Thompson realized that his soldier was working essentially 2 full-time jobs. During the day, he served his country with dedication and excellence. Every evening he came home to serve this makeshift family with the same level of commitment and care. The physical and emotional demands of both responsibilities explained why Private Mitchell often looked tired and stressed. The general felt a growing sense of admiration and concern for his young soldier. Private Mitchell had never asked for help, never complained, and never let his personal responsibilities interfere with his military duties. He was quietly handling an enormous burden that would challenge most adults, and he was doing it while maintaining his service to his country. As the house grew quiet and the lights began turning off in different rooms, General Thompson prepared to leave. But he had one more revelation waiting for him that would complete his understanding of Private Mitchell's remarkable situation. Just as General Thompson was about to leave his hiding spot, he noticed Private Mitchell stepping outside the house. The young soldier sat on the small front porch steps and pulled out his phone. In the quiet evening air, the general could hear parts of the conversation. Private Mitchell was making phone calls to what sounded like social service offices, schools, and medical clinics. He was scheduling appointments, asking about assistance programs, and advocating for the children in his care. His voice was patient but firm as he explained situations and requested help for various needs. One call was to a school counselor about the oldest boy's grades. Another was to a clinic trying to schedule a medical appointment for the elderly woman. Private Mitchell had a small notebook where he wrote down information and kept track of appointments. General Thompson realized that managing this household required not just daily care, but constant coordination with outside agencies and services. After finishing his calls, Private Mitchell went back inside. Through the window, General Thompson could see the soldier cleaning the kitchen, preparing clothes for the children to wear to school the next day, and organizing their backpacks. Even after everyone else was asleep, Private Mitchell continued working to ensure the household would run smoothly the following day. The general watched as Private Mitchell finally sat down at the small kitchen table with what appeared to be bills and paperwork. The soldier carefully counted money from his wallet, wrote in a ledger book, and sorted through various documents. It was clear that Private Mitchell was managing all the finances for this household on his military salary. General Thompson felt a deep respect growing for his young soldier, but also concern about the sustainability of this situation. Private Mitchell was stretching himself thin financially and emotionally, and while his dedication was admirable, the general worried about the long-term impact on both the soldier and the family he was caring for. Around 11 o'clock, Private Mitchell finally turned off the lights and appeared to be settling down for the night. General Thompson quietly left his observation post and walked back toward the base, his mind racing with questions about how the situation had developed and what he should do with this information. The next morning, General Thompson watched Private Mitchell during morning drill with new eyes. The young soldier performed every exercise and followed every command with his usual precision, but the general now understood the exhaustion behind his eyes. Private Mitchell was operating on very little sleep and carrying enormous emotional weight, yet he never let it show in his military performance. During lunch break, General Thompson made a decision. He approached Private Mitchell, who was sitting alone as usual, eating quickly so he could handle some phone calls before afternoon duties began. "Private Mitchell, could I speak with you in my office after duty hours today?" General Thompson asked casually. Private Mitchell looked surprised and slightly worried. "Yes, sir." "Is there a problem with my performance, sir?" "No, Private. Your performance is excellent. I just want to discuss something with you." The rest of the day, General Thompson noticed that Private Mitchell seemed nervous and distracted. The general realized that asking for a meeting after duty hours was probably causing stress for the young soldier, who clearly had important responsibilities waiting for him at home. When duty hours ended, Private Mitchell reported to General Thompson's office. He stood at attention, clearly prepared for some kind of disciplinary action or criticism. "At ease, Private. Please sit down," General Thompson said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. Private Mitchell sat stiffly, his hands folded in his lap, waiting for the general to speak. General Thompson had spent the day thinking about how to approach this conversation. He knew he needed to be careful not to make Private Mitchell feel like his privacy had been violated, while also finding a way to offer support. "Private Mitchell, I want you to know that your service record is exemplary. You're one of the most reliable soldiers under my command," the general began. "Thank you, sir," Private Mitchell replied, still looking confused about the purpose of this meeting. "However, I've noticed that you seem tired lately, and you always leave base immediately after duty hours. I want to make sure you're taking care of yourself and that you don't have any problems I should know about." Private Mitchell's face went through several emotions: surprise, worry, and then resignation. The general could see the young soldier trying to decide how much to reveal about his personal situation. "Sir, I appreciate your concern, but I can handle my personal responsibilities. They don't interfere with my military duties," Private Mitchell said carefully. General Thompson leaned forward in his chair. "Private, I'm not questioning your ability to handle your duties. I'm asking if there's any way I can help you handle whatever you're dealing with outside of work." The simple offer of help seemed to catch Private Mitchell completely off guard. For the first time since General Thompson had known him, the young soldier's composed expression cracked slightly. Private Mitchell sat quietly for a long moment, clearly struggling with whether to trust his commanding officer with his personal story. General Thompson waited patiently, recognizing that this young man had probably been carrying his burden alone for a long time. Finally, Private Mitchell took a deep breath and began to speak. Sir, the situation is complicated. About a year ago, my neighbor, Mrs. Garcia, became very ill. She's 78 years old and was taking care of her 5 grandchildren after their parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. General Thompson listened carefully as the story unfolded. Private Mitchell explained that Mrs. Garcia had been struggling to manage the children on her fixed income and declining health. The children were at risk of being separated and placed in different foster homes because no single family could take all 5 siblings together. When I found out what was happening, I couldn't just stand by and watch this family be torn apart, Private Mitchell continued. These kids had already lost their parents. Losing each other would have destroyed them. The young soldier explained that he had volunteered to help Mrs. Garcia maintain guardianship of the children by providing financial support and daily assistance. He moved into their small house to help with the daily care, homework, medical appointments, and everything else required to keep the family together. The social worker said that with my help, Mrs. Garcia could keep the children as long as I could prove stable support and involvement, Private Mitchell said. So I became their unofficial guardian and provider. General Thompson was amazed by the sacrifice this young soldier had made. Private Mitchell was using almost his entire military salary to support 6 people. He was working full-time at the base and then going home to essentially work another full-time job, caring for the household. Private, that's an incredible thing you're doing. But it sounds like you're carrying this responsibility entirely alone. What happens when you have military training exercises or deployments? General Thompson asked. Private Mitchell's face showed the worry he had been carrying. Sir, that's been keeping me awake at night. I've been hoping that Mrs. Garcia's health would improve, or that we could find additional support before I face any extended duties away from base. The children depend on me now and I can't let them down. General Thompson realized that Private Mitchell was trapped in an impossible situation. His dedication to both his military service and this family meant he was constantly worried about failing one or both of his responsibilities. Have you looked into military, family support services, or community resources? The general asked. Sir, I've tried everything I can find, but most programs are designed for soldiers with their own biological children, or legally adopted children. Since I'm not technically related to these kids, and Mrs. Garcia is still their legal guardian, we don't qualify for many assistance programs. Private Mitchell went on to explain that he had researched adoption procedures, but as a single young soldier, the legal process would be complicated and expensive. Meanwhile, the children needed immediate stability and care that he was providing day by day. General Thompson was struck by the maturity and selflessness of this young man. Private Mitchell had seen a family in crisis and had stepped up to help without any expectation of recognition or reward. He was quietly sacrificing his own comfort, financial security, and personal time to keep 5 children together with their grandmother. Private, I want you to know that what you're doing is remarkable. However, I'm concerned about the strain this is putting on you, and I want to help find some solutions, General Thompson said. Sir, I appreciate that, but I don't want any special treatment or to be seen as unable to handle my responsibilities. Private Mitchell replied quickly. This isn't about special treatment. This is about recognizing that you're serving your community, and these children just as much as you're serving your country. Both types of service deserve support. General Thompson spent the next hour learning more details about the family's situation. He learned that the oldest boy, Miguel, was 14 and helped significantly with the younger children. The twins, Carlos and Sofia, were 11 and were both excellent students despite their difficult circumstances. 8-year-old Ana was shy but artistic, and 6-year-old Diego was energetic and kept everyone laughing. Mrs. Garcia had diabetes and arthritis, which made it difficult for her to keep up with the children's needs, but she provided love, wisdom, and stability that was crucial for their emotional well-being. Private Mitchell had become the practical provider and organizer, while Mrs. Garcia remained the heart of the family. As Private Mitchell shared more details, General Thompson began forming ideas about how he might be able to help. He knew about resources and connections that a young soldier might not have access to. More importantly, he was beginning to understand that this situation represented something special that deserved support and protection. Private Mitchell, I want you to give me some time to research what options might be available. Don't make any major decisions about your military service until we explore what support systems we can put in place. General Thompson said, Sir, "I don't want to cause any problems or complications," Private Mitchell replied. "You're not causing problems. You're solving them. Now I want to help you solve them more effectively." As Private Mitchell left the office, General Thompson sat back in his chair, amazed by what he had learned about his young soldier. Tomorrow he would begin making some phone calls of his own. The next morning, General Thompson arrived at his office earlier than usual and immediately began making phone calls. His first call was to Colonel Sarah Martinez, who worked in military family services at the regional headquarters. He explained Private Mitchell's situation and asked about any programs that might provide assistance. Colonel Martinez was intrigued by the case and promised to research options for soldiers who were providing care for non-biological family members. She mentioned that there were some emergency assistance programs that might apply, and she would investigate the possibilities. General Thompson's second call was to his wife, Margaret, who had worked as a social worker for 20 years before retiring. He described the Garcia family situation and asked for her advice about community resources and legal options. Margaret was immediately interested in helping. She explained that there were often local charities, churches, and community organizations that provided support for families in exactly this type of situation. She offered to research what was available in their area and to visit the family to assess their specific needs. Throughout the day, General Thompson found himself thinking about Private Mitchell and the Garcia family. During lunch, he made another call to his friend Robert Chen, who was a family law attorney. Robert listened to the situation and offered to provide free legal consultation to help explore options for formalizing Private Mitchell's role in the children's lives. That evening, General Thompson decided to visit the Garcia household himself. He wanted to meet the family and better understand their situation before proposing any solutions. He arrived at the small house just as Private Mitchell was helping the children with homework. When Private Mitchell answered the door and saw his commanding officer, his face showed immediate concern. "Sir, is everything all right? Am I needed at base?" "Everything is fine, Private. I was hoping to meet Mrs. Garcia and the children, if that would be appropriate," General Thompson said. Private Mitchell looked surprised but invited the general inside. The small house was clean and organized, but General Thompson could see the challenges of fitting so many people into such a limited space. The children were spread throughout the tiny living room working on homework, and Mrs. Garcia was sitting in her chair watching the evening news. "Mrs. Garcia, this is my commanding officer, General Thompson," Private Mitchell said in both English and Spanish. Mrs. Garcia struggled to stand to greet the general, but he quickly gestured for her to remain seated. In his basic Spanish, supplemented by Private Mitchell's translation, General Thompson introduced himself and explained that he had come to meet the family that his soldier cared so much about. The children were initially shy around the general, but they warmed up quickly when he showed genuine interest in their homework and school projects. Miguel proudly showed General Thompson his science project about solar energy. The twins, Carlos and Sofia, demonstrated a math game they had created to help little Diego learn his numbers. Ana, the artistic 8-year-old, brought General Thompson several of her drawings. He was impressed by her talent and attention to detail. 6-year-old Diego entertained everyone by showing off his reading skills with a picture book. Mrs. Garcia, speaking through Private Mitchell's translation, expressed her gratitude for having the general visit their home. She explained how much Private Mitchell meant to their family and how lost they would be without his support. As General Thompson observed the family interactions, he was struck by the genuine love and care that existed in this household. Despite their financial struggles and cramped living conditions, these people had created a warm, supportive environment where each person was valued and cared for. During dinner, which Private Mitchell insisted the general share with them, General Thompson learned more about each family member's personality and dreams. Miguel wanted to become an engineer and was already excelling in advanced math classes. Carlos loved sports and hoped to play basketball in high school. Sofia was interested in becoming a teacher and enjoyed helping the younger children with their schoolwork. Anna wanted to be an artist and had filled several notebooks with her drawings. Little Diego announced that he wanted to be a soldier like Hermano James, Brother James, as the children called Private Mitchell. General Thompson was moved by the children's resilience and optimism, despite the hardships they had faced. He could see why Private Mitchell had been willing to sacrifice so much to keep this family together. After dinner, while Private Mitchell helped the children prepare for bed, General Thompson had a longer conversation with Mrs. Garcia. Through a combination of his limited Spanish and her limited English, she told him about losing her daughter and son-in-law in the accident, and how overwhelming it had been to suddenly become responsible for 5 children at her age. She explained that Private Mitchell had appeared in their lives like an angel when they needed help most. He had not only provided financial support, but had given the children stability, guidance, and hope for the future. Mrs. Garcia was worried about what would happen to the family if Private Mitchell ever had to leave for military deployment or assignment. As General Thompson prepared to leave that evening, he had a clear understanding of the situation and a growing determination to find ways to support this remarkable family. Private Mitchell walked him to the door, still looking concerned about the unexpected visit from his commanding officer. "Sir, I hope you understand that I'm committed to my military service. This family situation doesn't change my dedication to my duties," Private Mitchell said. "Private, after spending this evening with your family, I understand your dedication better than ever. A man who can manage these responsibilities while maintaining excellence in his military service is exactly the kind of soldier our country needs," General Thompson replied. "Tomorrow, I want to discuss some ideas I have for providing additional support for your family. You've been carrying this responsibility alone for too long." As General Thompson drove back to base, he was already planning the phone calls he would make the next day to put his ideas into motion. 3 weeks later, General Thompson stood in the same spot behind the tree where he had first observed Private Mitchell's secret life. But this time he was not alone and he was not hiding. His wife Margaret stood beside him, along with Colonel Martinez from Military Family Services, Attorney Robert Chen, and Pastor Williams from the local community church. They were all watching the Garcia house, but now it looked completely different. A group of volunteers from the base and the community were finishing work on a small addition to the house that would give the family more living space. The front yard had been cleaned up and planted with flowers that Anna had helped choose. A new fence had been installed, and the house had been painted by soldiers who had volunteered their weekend time. Inside the house, the kitchen had been expanded, and new appliances had been installed through donations coordinated by Margaret and the church community. The children now had proper beds and study areas, and Mrs. Garcia had a more comfortable living space that accommodated her mobility needs. But the most significant change was not visible from the outside. Through the combined efforts of Colonel Martinez and Attorney Robert Chen, Private Mitchell had been able to formalize his role as a co-guardian for the children. This legal status qualified the family for military family support services and gave Private Mitchell access to resources that had previously been unavailable. The church community had established a support network that provided backup childcare, transportation assistance, and emergency support for times when Private Mitchell might be required for extended military duties. Several retired teachers from the congregation had volunteered to provide tutoring and educational support for the children. General Thompson had also worked with base commanders to ensure that Private Mitchell's deployment schedule would be arranged to minimize disruption to the family. When deployments were necessary, the support network would be activated to ensure the children's needs continued to be met. As the group watched, Private Mitchell emerged from the house with all 5 children, but instead of the tired, stressed young man that General Thompson had observed weeks earlier, Private Mitchell looked relaxed and happy. The children were laughing and excited, carrying sleeping bags and camping gear. Tonight was the first time Private Mitchell had been able to take the children on a camping trip. Previously, he had never been able to leave Mrs. Garcia alone overnight, and the family had never had the resources for recreational activities. Now, with the support network in place and improved resources, the family was able to enjoy experiences that had seemed impossible before. Diego ran ahead toward the group of adults, recognizing General Thompson and calling out excitedly, "General Thompson, we're going camping. Hermano James is going to teach us how to make s'mores." The other children gathered around the general, chattering excitedly about their camping plans. Miguel thanked the general for the new science books that had been donated to help with his advanced studies. Sophia showed off the art supplies that Anna had received from the church's children's program. Mrs. Garcia appeared in the doorway, moving more easily with her new walker and looking healthier than she had in months. The stress of managing everything alone had been affecting her health, but with proper support and resources, she was able to focus on her recovery and her role as the loving grandmother the children needed. Private Mitchell approached General Thompson with tears in his eyes. "Sir, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for our family. Private, you don't need to thank me. You showed me what real service looks like. Service to country is important, but service to family and community is just as valuable. You were doing both long before I got involved." General Thompson looked around at all the people who had come together to support this family. Soldiers from the base, members of the church community, professionals who had donated their services, and neighbors who had volunteered their time. All because one young soldier's quiet dedication had inspired others to action. The truth is, Private Mitchell, you taught all of us something important. You showed us that taking care of each other is not just the right thing to do. It's what makes a community strong. Every person here has been enriched by being part of your family's story. As the family loaded into the church van for their camping trip, General Thompson reflected on how much had changed since that evening, when he had followed his soldier out of curiosity and concern. What he had discovered was a young man whose character and dedication exceeded anything he had seen in his 32 years of military service. But more than that, General Thompson had learned that sometimes the most important leadership happens quietly, without recognition or fanfare. Private Mitchell had been leading by example every single day, showing the children in his care what it meant to be responsible, caring, and committed to family. The general had also learned that one person's dedication could inspire an entire community to action when others became aware of the need. The support network that now surrounded the Garcia family had grown from General Thompson, sharing their story with others who were moved to help. As the van disappeared down the street, General Thompson felt a deep satisfaction that he had rarely experienced in his military career. He had helped solve a problem, supported a deserving family, and witnessed the power of community working together. But most importantly, he had learned from Private Mitchell that true service means taking care of those who depend on you. Whether they are fellow soldiers, family members, or children who need a stable home, the young soldier had never asked for recognition or help, but his quiet dedication had ultimately brought help to his family and inspiration to everyone who learned their story. 3 months later, when Private Mitchell was promoted to corporal, the entire Garcia family was present at the ceremony. As General Thompson pinned the new stripes on Corporal Mitchell's uniform, he whispered, "This promotion is for your service to your country and your family. Both matter equally." The general knew that Corporal Mitchell would continue to serve with distinction in whatever assignment came next, and that the Garcia family would continue to thrive with the support system that had grown around them. But he also knew that the real lesson from this experience was one he would carry with him for the rest of his career. The best soldiers are often those who serve quietly and selflessly, both in uniform and out.